I would always describe Fox Williams as a great place to work to a friend or family member. Firstly, the warm culture I experienced when I was on the back scheme, and then also when I started at the firm. The trainees were really friendly at the VAC scheme, and then when I started, I found that everyone was very welcoming and knew my name before I started, and even people from different teams would introduce themselves and talk to me. So I found the culture was a huge reason why I like working here and would like to stay post-qualification. Secondly, the breadth of work that you get to experience as a trainee is really great. So I started in real estate and then moved to employment, and then now I'm in corporate. And across those departments, you can develop a range of skills given that you do such different types of work. So in employment, I did a lot of litigious work, which means working with barristers, whereas in corporate, there's much more transactional management type of work, which allows you as a trainee to have a lot more responsibility. And even within departments, each partner has their own practice, which means you get such a variety of work, and it means no day is the same. So each day I find I'm working on different types of tasks. So one day I might be working in corporate on something to do with a director who's working for a company that's been being made insolvent, or another day might be working on a share sale transaction where we're on a disclosure call. So each day brings huge variety. I am a trainee in corporate at the moment, and a typical day might look like something like today, actually. So today is an anchor day for the corporate team, which means that everyone, all 20 of the team, will be in. And we started the day at 9:30 with a breakfast meeting where the head of our department, Richie, will give an update to the team, anything else that's relevant to the team, and social events that are going on, like the strategy away day, which is happening in February. And later in the day at lunch, we've got training, actually. So maybe once a month, we'll have a training session where all the team comes in, and it will either be presented by someone from the team. So today we're doing share buyback training, which is presented by an associate in the team. And then a few weeks ago, we had training externally from a company. So the training is really diverse, and I feel even if you're not doing trainee-specific stuff, like there's team-wide training. And then otherwise, I've got a coffee in the diary with an associate at 3 p.m, which is a social that we've organised. And it's nice to speak to people in the team in a more informal setting. And then otherwise, on my to-do list, I've got typical trainee corporate tasks. So making companies' house filings for post-completion matters. I attended a disclosure call before this, which basically is where there's a share sale transaction and we need to get information about our client who's selling their business. And so there's a whole load of warranties in the SPA which the client will then need to make any disclosures about their business against. So that is the purpose of that call, and that's quite a typical trainee task. A piece of work that's really interested me since I've been a trainee is when I was in the employment team in my second seat. And as I previously mentioned, there's quite a lot of litigious work in our employment team. And a lot of the time we work for individuals on the employee side, and on the employer side, we work for a lot of professional services companies, such as law firms. And one of the pieces of work that I really enjoyed being involved in was a piece of litigation with a law firm client and one of their trainees who was completing the LPC alongside doing their training contract, had actually omitted to tell them that he'd failed to pass one of his LPC exams. And so they had to make a report to the SRA about their trainee, and the case actually ended up in the solicitor's disciplinary tribunal. And I was lucky enough to attend the third day of the hearing in person, and it was my role to take notes as a member of the audience and then report back to the internal team and also the barrister who we'd employed for this matter about whether there was going to be a cost order against our client for the case at hand. So that was a really interesting day of in-person litigation work, which I learned a lot about how the formalities of court work and things like that. So the rotation into different seats is managed really well at Fox Williams. So I've obviously started in 3 different teams so far. So real estate is my first seat. As I previously touched on, everyone was very friendly in my first seat. And since then, I found that for each new rotation. And I think the teams really manage taking on new trainees really well, in the fact that there's a trainee training program in real estate, employment and corporate that I've done. So those would be sessions that are led one-on-one by an associate or partner in the team. So, for example, in corporate, it's really comprehensive. We've done maybe a month's worth of different training sessions, which cover like key topics and activities that trainees will be expected to be involved in, including we've had training on a share purchase agreement, a business asset agreement, a disclosure and due diligence. So all the key areas that you'll be expected to understand. So I think in terms of training and familiarising with the practice area, that's handled really well. And then in terms of social, I think when I joined the employment team, we had a drinks at the pub, which was a really nice way to meet people socially. So the thing I enjoy working most about Fox Williams, I find a difficult question to answer because there are a lot of things that I enjoy about working here. But if I had to say, it would be the combination of the people that I work with and the actual work that you get to complete as a trainee here. So, for example, in the last week, I was involved in the completion of a corporate deal which our client was selling their business. And it involved a few later evenings for a few days in a row. And the thing that made it manageable was working with such lovely people who I felt supported by, and also who were able to answer my questions and allowed me to answer questions. So I think it's the combination of feeling like you get the responsibility and a really good level of work, whilst also being supported by colleagues who you enjoy working with and also hanging out socially with them. Friendly, strong relationships at Fox Williams is definitely an experience that I've had and manifests in the workplace as well as outside of the workplace. So I've had quite a lot of involvement with the social and charity events and attending those. So when I first started, I remember going to pizza making event and wine tasting. And at these events, what happens is we have a firm charity, which is the Six Children's Trust this year. And every social event that there is, you just pay £5 to go, and the firm then funds that and puts money toward that money that we paid towards charity. And it's a really great way to socialise with colleagues across departments and across the firm who you wouldn't meet unless you were in a team with them. And I found going to those is a really great way to integrate at the firm and actually make those rotations into new teams a lot easier, considering that I know them socially.